Like, I get why you would hate a doctor if you're a Republican. Doctors are gay because they went to college, and they went to college more than the average person went to college. So they're double gay. They're trans. They're so gay, they're trans. Duh. Everybody knows that. I'm going to get to Trump. Trump talked to Sean Hannity, where he basically shit on Biden in a way that, like, many people have shit on Trump.
And tonight, chaos is brewing in the Democratic Party as calls for Joe Biden to drop out are growing. Joining us now for an exclusive interview on the phone, former President Donald Trump. Mr. President, great to have you, sir. How are you?
Well, thank you very much, John. I'm fine. Thank you.
Let's go back to the debate with you and President Biden, because immediately you could notice his voice was raspy. But beyond that, within minutes, I could tell this was not going to be a good night for Joe Biden. What was going through your head at that time?
Well, it was a big evening, and you could feel a lot of energy. Boy, energy like you haven't felt in a long time. On any of the debates, I've done a lot of debates, and we've had great success with debates, but this was something very special. For whatever reason, it just seemed big. And when I got to Atlanta, and this was at CNN headquarters, there was a lot of excitement. There were trucks. I call them the $10 million trucks. That's with the antennas all over, and very incredible equipment. I'm looking at things that are, it was just more of a scene than it normally would be. And it really was that way right from the start, right from the moment they introduced us, and then they introduced him and introduced me, and I walked out and I saw him, and he looked extremely pale, to put it nicely. And I don't know, maybe it was a good makeup job or maybe it wasn't, but he was a very pale-looking man. And when he started to speak, I don't know, I thought his voice was weak. I didn't know exactly what was happening. It was strange. I do have to say that the CNN, Jake and Dana, they were really, they were pretty good. They were, I thought they were fair. I thought they were fair in the questions. I thought to him, to me. But it was a strange evening. I will tell you, it was a strange debate because within a couple of minutes, the answers given by him were, they didn't make a lot of sense.
Well, let me ask you this. I think some of the worst moments for President Biden were when he wasn't talking. There was like this blank, vacant stare, and it's like he was checked out. And I've run a montage of it. When you were speaking and you'd look over, did you notice that too, or?
You know, I was thinking about what I was saying. I wasn't looking over at him almost at all, except when he went a little bit haywire. I didn't look at him at all. And I'm very disappointed in him. He's the worst president in the history of our country. We've never had anything like it, what he's done to our borders, what he's done to our country, inflation, the people that he's hurting. He's destroying Social Security.
What?
And people are, I'm just so upset with him as president. And so I wasn't really looking over. I purposely wasn't. And I did take a couple of peeks when he was in the midst of giving some really bad answers. They weren't even answers. They were just words put together that had no meaning or sense.
Well,
but for the most part, I didn't really look over.
Since before the 2020 election, on radio and TV, I have chronicled the fact that Joe looked weak and frail and that he was a cognitive mess, long before the election in 2020. The media, I call them state-run media, Democrats, they're all acting shocked, like this just came out of nowhere. Is this one incident, or is it, is this something permanent? I'm like, did they not notice the guy can't give a press conference? Did they not notice that he doesn't use the big boy stairs getting on Air Force One? Did they not notice the plan to surround him as he walks to and from Marine One? That he wouldn't do a Super Bowl interview, a layup interview for any president, really.
He's right about that.
What part of his cognitive decline do you think they missed, or did they purposely cover for him, in your view?
Well, they cover for him, and they still are sort of covering, but now it's getting very difficult to do that. And, you know, it looks to me like he may very well stay in. He's got an ego, and he doesn't want to quit. He doesn't want to do that. It just looks to me like that's what he wants. I think Jill would like to see him stay. She's having a good time. I notice she really seems to be having a good time. And I'm hearing that Hunter is calling the shots. So this isn't necessarily a very...
I can't begin to explain to you how insanely stupid it is that Joe Biden would ever bring Hunter Biden into any kind of serious meeting, because this entire line of attack against Joe Biden, by literally talking about how like Hunter Biden is, this, Hunter Biden is that, Hunter Biden is corrupt, Hunter Biden is doing this shit, Hunter Biden is doing that shit. All of that can be neutralized by pointing to the fact that Hunter Biden is nowhere near the White House. Hunter Biden is nowhere near the decision-making process for Joe Biden. Now, you have once again given the Republican Party a major opportunity for no reason. You've given the Republican Party a major opportunity to say, yeah, remember that guy who we've been crying about nonstop, the convicted felon? Yeah, Joe Biden is getting advice from him. So we were actually right about all of our crazy nonsense about Hunter.
Very positive thing for our country. But I think he, might very well stay in. And if he does, nobody wants to give that up that way. He's going to feel badly about himself for a long time. It's hard to give it up that way, the way where they're trying to force him out. So, I mean, you really have to speak to his doctors. But obviously, he's been sheltered by the fake news media. That's why they call it the fake news.
Do you, Mr. President, do you want Joe Biden to step aside? Do you care?
Well, we've prepared for him, but I don't think it's going to matter. We had a great 4 years. Our border was the strongest ever. Our economy pre-COVID was incredible, the best ever. But then when we got hit with the gift from China, the China virus, that came in, and we did a fantastic job, and we got it back where the stock market was actually higher to just prior to COVID coming in. So, I mean, we've done a job. The military, we defeated ISIS, took out the worst terrorists in the world, and defeated ISIS. And that was a big thing. I was told it would take 5 years, and it took us a couple of months. The military is fantastic. By the way, the military is not woke. The people at top are woke, but the military is never going to be woke. Those are incredible people. What they did for me in the fight on ISIS. And then we had no wars. I mean, I had no wars. We're heading into World War III, in my opinion, with this man semi-running things, because he's not running things. The people that surround the Oval Office, the people that surround the Resolute desk, the beautiful Resolute desk, they're really running things in Washington, I suspect, and it's very bad. And, he got them into the warfare and lawfare, many different terms you can use, but basically going after your political opponent, using the Justice Department, using local DAs, using local attorney generals, going after your political opponent. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. And, there are those. I just read an article that it's been a positive for me, but it's not a positive. It's very unfair. It's fighting an unfair battle. But he's the one that got us into that. And all these lawsuits you see and everything else, that's all Biden-inspired, meaning Biden people inspired. And it's very sad. I think it's a very sad time for our country. We're not respected anywhere in the world. He's not respected. And our country is in very serious trouble. And I'll tell you what, if we're not careful, we're going to be right in the middle of World War III. And that will be a war like nobody's seen before because of the weaponry. The weaponry is a whole lot different than
That's stupid. Trump is an actual criminal running for president. Hunter is the president's son. All of Trump's children were in the White House with actual power. Okay, did you like that? Did you think that was good? No, right? You didn't. So why the fuck is Biden doing that? It's the easiest layup to just completely neutralize one of the major avenues of attack that the Republicans have tried to make a real thing for the past 4 years. They tried to do it in 2020 with the Hunter Biden laptop shit. They tried to relitigate the Hunter Biden laptop shit for the past 4 years. It has been a dead end. Why? Because Hunter Biden has no access to the White House. He didn't have access to the White House when he was at Burisma, and he doesn't have access to the White House until now. They waited until he got criminally convicted so they could bring him into meetings with staffers. It's one of the dumbest things you can do.
two army tanks going up against each other. This is a whole different world, and we don't have somebody that can properly represent us. There's no question about that.
What do you make of all the talk that if Biden steps aside or is pushed out, that it would be Vice President Harris? Do you expect that much would change?
Well, I think that it will be her. I think they are very concerned about the vote if it's not her. They are very, very, they're gun shy. They don't want to do it any other way. I've actually come to believe that's what they're going to do. I think she's an ineffective person. She was in charge of the border. She's never been there. She didn't do a good job, and she hasn't done a job on a lot of things. So, but it would seem to me that from a political standpoint, that's who they're going with. They're not even talking about alternatives. And it seems that if he gets out for whatever reason, and I don't think he wants to get out, but if he gets out, it will be her. Interestingly, he's got a lot of power because he's got the delegates. You know, when you have the delegates, unless he says I'm getting out, they can't do anything to get him out other than the 25th Amendment. If they want to do it in a different route, it would be the 25th Amendment. But let's assume with not very much time left. You know, there's not much time left, and then we can straighten out our country. We'll make America great again, right? But there's not a lot of time left. But I think unless they use the 25th Amendment, which they'd use in a different sense, he has all the power. He has the delegates. He doesn't.
Bro, down to the 25th Amendment being a potential weapon against the sitting president, this is literally a rerun. It's the blue version of the same shit that we watched when Trump was president. I don't think that this is good for all of the moderates that the Brandon campaign has tried to captivate for the past 4 years, especially when the reason why they voted for Biden over Trump was not even ideological. It was because he was seen as like a coherent elder statesman. It is the only major difference in the eyes of those who do go out and vote between Trump and Biden. So now, him being an incredibly narcissistic, doddering old fool who's bringing his fail son into the White House, who's causing a state of panic within the Democratic Party that is disorganized, that makes, in the eyes of the moderates, that makes the Democratic Party look just as chaotic as the Republicans. Yeah, I like Hunter. Keep him the fuck away from the White House. What do you mean? What do you mean I thought you liked Hunter? Yeah, he's great. He's a funny figure, okay? But what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're trying to win an election, dude. What are we doing here?
Doesn't have to get out. There's nothing they can do to get him out. So he'll get the nomination. He got the nomination, and then they'll have their meeting in Chicago, which, by the way, last week, 117 people were shot and 17 people were killed. That was last weekend in Chicago. And that's like a war zone. But they have their convention in Chicago, and they're obviously very proud of Chicago. And I love Chicago. I have investments in Chicago. But when you look at the crime in Chicago, when you look at what's gone wrong with Chicago, it's not a very good thing to be displaying right now.
I still think every election is about the future. It's about peace and prosperity. In this case, it would be about the border. It will be about the economy, law and order, the green agenda, America's role in the world. The one issue that pops almost at the top of every poll in the minds of Americans, well, really two: the border and the economy. Let's start with the border. We have nearly 11 million unvetted Joe Biden illegal immigrants in this country from nearly 180 countries, but many from countries that have terror ties, countries like Iran and Syria, Egypt, Afghanistan, Venezuela, Kazakhstan, nearly 60,000 from China in just the last 18 months, tens of thousands from Russia. And I worry that this is now a clear and present danger for the country, and that the likelihood that terrorist cells are probably already here is very high. I don't think I'm wrong. I pray to God that I'm wrong. I don't believe I am. And the media, Democrats, have ignored the issue, and they've allowed it to happen. And Biden and Kamala Harris and Mayorkas have all said the border's closed and the border's secure, but they brag about ending the policies that you had in place when they got into power. I think a preventable preventable problem, I'm worried about our national security like never before.
Well, the one thing you haven't said tonight that you always say is that it's 100% certain that we're going to have a terror attack, and I agree with you on that. It's 100% certain. I mean, we're letting terrorists into our...
I pray I'm wrong. I pray
we're letting
to God
terrorists
I'm wrong.
into our country at a level that we've never seen before. Terrorists are coming in, and they're coming in, Sean, from mental...
What does that mean? Like, that implies that there's a level of terrorists that we were allowing into the country. Like, there was a level of terrorists that we were just like saying, yeah, come inside. I guess he means like 9/11, like Muhammad Atta. He's talking about Muhammad Atta, chat. But what do you mean? Oh, it's an unprecedented level of terrorists that we're allowing into the country, as opposed to previous years where we were like, there was a precedented level of terrorists that we were just allowing into the country. Before and after 2001, there's never been a moment where domestic terror did not actually beat foreign terror on U.S. soil. Okay? That has never been the case. Post 9/11, that's the 1 year. Post 9/11, everybody went crazy mode over how much Islamic terror was occurring in America and in the Western world. Stats don't lie. 75% of all domestic terror that occurred on U.S. soil since then, and this was like back in 2016, have been at the hands of far-right anti-government extremists. That's the designation for it. Right-wing terrorists, white supremacist terrorists. That's it.
Institutions and insane asylums. They're coming in from prisons and jails from all over the world, not just South America. They're coming in from the Congo and Africa. They're coming in from every part of the world. And some of these parts are rough parts of the world, and they're pouring into our country as prisoners, as mental patients. They're coming into our country, and they're coming in also as terrorists. And this is poisoning our country, and nobody should have been subjected to this. They should never have been allowed to do this. There's nothing good that can come of it, and we're going to have to get these criminals, and a lot of them are criminals, and very high-level, very bad criminals. We're going to get them out. We're going to have the largest deportation in our history, larger than the Eisenhower deportation. And we have no choice. I don't want to do that. But this man has destroyed our country. And I say in rallies, I'm doing a big one tomorrow at Doral in Miami. I say at rallies that you could take the 10 worst presidents in the history of our country and put them together. They will not have done the destruction and damage as this man has done. He's been a horrible president, the worst president, frankly, the worst president in history by far. And by the way, Jimmy Carter's the happiest guy around, because Jimmy Carter now is saying, you know, I mean, he was like a genius compared to what Biden is. His administration was brilliant compared to the Biden administration. So it's a very, very sad time in our country.
Let me ask about the economy. I know that they said from the beginning that Biden's inflation, which they inherited.
Hating Jimmy Carter is such a funny, like, boomer trait. It's a classic boomer trait. Like, absolutely zero people under the age of 70 is bringing up Jimmy Carter as the worst president. You know what I mean? Classic.
1.4%. It's up over 20%. 25% of Americans say that they've had to forego meals. 60+% of Americans said that they're gulping water because of Joe Biden's economic policies and Biden inflation. How do you fix that? And how quickly do you think you can fix that?
Well, we have to fix it fast. And what they're doing is the illegal migrants that are pouring into our countries, many of them are staying in luxury hotels all over our country. They're being shipped up. You know, as we say now, every state is a border state, whether it's Idaho or Iowa or Ohio. It doesn't make any difference. They're all border because they're pouring through our country. One of the stats that was incredible, I actually saw it on You First, was when they it came out that we're actually flying them in. So it's not just a question of these people coming through totally unchecked and unvetted. They're flying tens of thousands of people into our country, migrants. And many of these people were not people that were welcome to stay in their countries. They're coming up here. And when I originally said, I said, they are not sending their finest. These are people that are coming from other countries, Sean.
I mean, he's not wrong. 52% of undocumented migrants in the United States are visa overstayers. So he's technically right. The problem is he makes it seem like they're getting shipped out here in like a military plane or something and just being dumped into Iowa. Okay. No, they're just visa overstayers like Elon Musk. Nobody is like coordinating this effort. And also, that is actually important to recognize because that means that those people, like, we have some knowledge over their background. That means they got a visa, a tourist visa, but a visa nonetheless, or a student visa or an H1B visa, but a visa nonetheless, which means they're not just like totally, completely undocumented. So the idea that these criminals are pouring over the border wall all of a sudden becomes stupid. It's wild he's saying stuff like they're invading Ohio. Like, who's buying this? Other people who are just as mentally ill. Who's buying it? People that live in Ohio that watch Fox News. So like most of Ohio, probably. I don't know. People are so stupid, bro. Like my dad, unfortunately. Yeah, exactly. Your dads. Those are the people that are watching and believing this shit. 20% of the U.S. population are boomers. By 2041, that percentage is going to be 1 to 2%. Thank God. Yeah, dude, we're not making it to 2041, though. That's the problem. Because the boomers are going to be our demise. The boomers also own like 75% of all wealth. This country is so goddamn cooked, brother. What are we talking about? Gen X Plus is a genuine demon. It is a parasitic force. It is one of the greatest L's. Like, call me Robert F. Kennedy Jr. the way I'm actually going to shit on modern medicine, okay? Modern medicine has gone too far. Maybe some people don't need the health care, okay? We kept too many motherfuckers alive. Look at the results. Look at the results. It's so bad, dude.
Where the president, whoever is running the country, including the dictators, they're sending them into our country. And if you look at Venezuela, their crime is down 72%. Their crime, think of it, down 72, and ours is up. And we're going to have a new form of crime because these people are just getting comfortable. They're just getting settled in. We're going to have a new form of crime, and it's called Biden migrant crime. And it's a new category. And it's a very serious category, and it might blow all of our crime out the window because, frankly, you could probably double. When I told you those numbers in Chicago with 17 people dying this weekend, think of it, over a weekend, over a 3-day period, 4-day period, you had over 100 people shot and 17 people dead. And that probably doesn't include the migrants, although I guarantee you there was.
Why would that not include the migrants? Like, what are you talking about? The reason why it doesn't include the undocumented migrants is because they're significantly less likely to actually do crime, dumbass. That's it. Do you think that the police and the FBI are actually secretly conducting a conspiracy to cook the books, cook the numbers, and not report on casualties, fatalities, murders, when it's an undocumented migrant responsible for it? When an undocumented migrant does a crime, any crime, whether it be defending themselves against a police officer who's like bullying them, or, you know, something as gruesome and as violent as like raping a woman, you hear about it. You hear about it all the time. You hear about it for weeks on extent. The reason why, that is the reason why you think that there's actually a massive amount of undocumented migrant crime happening. This is like the COVID. The doctors are collaborating and conspiring to add additional fatalities to COVID numbers conspiracy over and over again. Yeah, dude. Now the cops are actually colluding. Like, I get why you would hate a doctor if you're a Republican. One, because if you live in like a rural enough town, you probably don't ever see a doctor. You probably only see the vet. And two, doctors are gay because they went to college. And they went to college more than the average person went to college. So they're double gay. They're trans. They're so gay, they're trans. Duh. Everybody knows that. So I understand why you would hate doctors, but I do not understand why you would think that our brave, beautiful law enforcement officers would be in on a crime. Dr. Physics, bruh. See? Point proven. There's doctors in the Hasanabi broadcast. That is the gayest thing you can do. Think about how woke you have to be to go to school for more than 4 years, okay? For more than 4 years, dude, that's like the woke indoctrination. You're going to learn so many gay things like an ecological disaster is imminent as a consequence of anthropogenic climate change. Like I'm just saying those words is like basically the equivalent of sucking at least 3 dicks. Okay. I can't believe I just said this. Anyway, Hasan's HRD dealer, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour, which is not even at the top of the hour. I don't know why I did that. You said climate change is real because you are woke and gay. I did. Exactly. You got me. I forgot that I don't think I ran the 3-minute ad break in the beginning of the hour. So I don't know what I'm doing, man. I literally just clipped this for you. Thank you, Himbo MP3, for the 5 gifted subs. What?
Alliance is thanks to the Secretary. He's a man of integrity and intellectual rigor, a calm temperament.
No, he said a man of intellectual rigor or vigor. Sorry. Well, I guess either, but probably vigor. People don't have to. You don't have to have the Biden style brain. You don't have to have the Biden style brain now to just like dunk on him. Okay, what's happening? Hasanabi, he's such a cuck. Schumer clarified a statement on Biden running. Schumer said that it was kind of a fait accompli, and there wasn't much he could do. And if the senators thought Biden should get out, they should call the president. Anyway, let's continue. Let's finish this.
We have to get them out of our country. We don't want them out. They drop them out of their jails and prisons. We don't want them in our country. It's not sustainable by any country.
You know, it's amazing when you came down that escalator in 2015 and you said some are very good people, they want a better life, and then there are going to be bad people and there'll be murder and rape. It's unfolding. You know, look at Lake and Riley on down, and young girls being raped in broad daylight. This young girl in Texas that was killed, a mother of 5. Let me ask you one last question, if I may. And I know this was last minute. Thanks for calling in tonight. And I want to ask you about your VP choice. How soon do you think you'll be making that choice, number one? Number two, we keep reading that there is a short list, and on the short list, we hear names like Senator Rubio, Senator Tim Scott, Senator J.D. Vance, Governor Burgum.
Yes! Burgum maniacs, rise up. Burgum mentioned. Burgum mentioned. They mentioned Burgum. That's why I want to go to the RNC to defend Burgum.
Are those reports accurate? Are there other people maybe people aren't paying attention to? And when do you think you'll announce that?
Well, you know, we started off with a lot of people. We have a lot of good people, as they call it. We have a great bench in the Republican Party. The names that you mentioned, absolutely, they're under consideration. And I haven't made final decision, but I have some ideas as to where we're going. And a little bit, you know, we wanted to see what they're doing, to be honest, because, you know, it might make a difference. I don't know. I'm not sure that it would. But there are those that say Trump's waiting until he finds out what's going to happen with crooked Joe Biden. And we'll see what happens with Biden. But, you know, I think probably within the next week and a half, probably sometime. I'd love to do it during the convention. My people say that's a little complicated. You know, in the old days, they would announce the vice president during the convention. Today, with modern-day technology, you can't do things that you could have done 50 years ago very easily. But probably a little before the convention, but not much. It could even be during the convention that we'd do it. I'd love to do it during the convention. I think it would be a very interesting build-up and important for the convention. It would make it even more exciting. It's going to be amazing in Milwaukee.
If you announced it right now on this show, I think it would make a lot of news. I'm just saying.
God, he's such a bitch, dude. You're such a bitch-made okay? Oh, I would make a lot of waves. Like, come on, please, sir. I suck your dick hard enough.
Well, if I did it, I'd love to do it with you. But we'll be announcing soon, and I think everybody's going to be very, very happy. The choice will be very, very good. It's going to be a great vice president, meaning a person that can do a fantastic job.
Like, these guys constantly talk about how everything is woke and gay, and then he just like sucks Trump's entire cock, dude. He eats his asshole for like 18 minutes straight. This is unironically gayer than like actually just sucking on a penis. You know what I mean? Just enjoying a nice fresh penis on a summer afternoon. Okay? This is way, way gayer than that. What are we doing here? The fuck is this? Anyway, it'll be a great vice president. Won't betray me when I want to do a coup. That's the funniest meme, by the way. Like, JD Vance, his pig, would absolutely betray him before he even did a coup. Like, the notion that JD Vance is like a loyal person to Donald Trump is great. It's a funny meme. You talking about penis like his ice cream? Yeah, dude. I am.
As president, because you always have to think of that first. And then second, somebody that helps you get elected. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mr. President.
Talking about it like it's a tasty treat, you know? Do you think Mike Lindell has a chance? No, but it is pretty funny that there were like genuinely a shit ton of chatters in here who unironically were making the claim that it was going to be, what's his face? Not Mike Lindell, the Mike Flynn. That was so funny, dude. That was awesome. Just more classic moments from the Hasanabi broadcast right there. And I just had to like walk people off this cliff. Like, hey man, walk people off this ledge. Like, no, dude, you're pretty crazy. Here's why. Wild. Can you hit that Mike Lindell accent real quick? I miss it. That's right. It's Michael Lindell. I've dropped everything for Donald Trump, and by God, I don't feel even a little bit of remorse or shame. Everyone is saying that I gotten worse since I got off the crack cocaine, but turns out the machines are coming after. Turns out the machines are coming after our president, Donald Trump. That's Jesse Ventura. He does sound like Jesse Ventura. I'm Michael Pillow.